Tomato, Granada. This is Granada, a tasty little potada. Man, have I been waiting to talk about this game. Have you ever had a song that just sticks somewhere in the recesses of your brain for years? At arbitrary times it pokes its head out to let you know that it still exists? Well folks, Granada is kinda like those earworms in game form for me. Right off the top, I love Granada for the Segagenesis. I often think about Granada for the Segagenesis. When I'm not near a Segagenesis, I still want to be playing Granada. Boom! Time to turn this review off and start playing some Granada. This often overlooked title was developed and published over the course of 2 years by Wolf Team and released in the spring of 1990 for the Sharp X68000. 7 months later, the game would get ported to the Segagenesis with the North American version, shown here, being published by Renovation Products. It's an addictive, challenging game that consists of 9 varied stages wherein the player needs to eliminate a bunch of different objectives in order to summon a boss. All of these destructive points are marked on the sparse minimap, and the level layouts are often large, labyrinthian affairs. Navigating these environments isn't particularly challenging, with the exception of 1 or 2 stages where the visuals muddy the playing field. This wouldn't be so bad if the time limit wasn't so unforgiving. It's almost a guarantee that new players will suffer the plight of the timer more than a few times, just trying to navigate the map, particularly while attempting a new level. This isn't inherently bad, but it can be annoying, especially on the higher difficulties. There are also a finite amount of continues, but the game is short enough that with a little practice and persistence, players shouldn't have too much trouble seeing the end credits. So, in Granada, you play as this tank thing. Your objective? Eliminate a variety of large enemies that appear on your radar map screen, presented here as red dots. Once these are destroyed, the boss will present itself. Destroy it, rinse, and repeat. There's a bit more to the story than all of that, but who has the time to read all of this when the alternative is just to dive in and shoot shit? For the most part, the level design is excellent and varied. The first stage is a perfect setup with tight, maze-like corridors that open up just enough to allow for defensive dodging. It culminates in a boss battle against an enemy that looks like it was an inspiration for Contra 3 before sending you to the second mission, which takes place on top of a giant airship. These dramatic shifts in stage designs might make you think that the game will be this interesting throughout. Sadly, this is only partially the case. The majority of the levels are much more similar to the game's first stage than the second, with a few surprising gimmicks and ideas tossed in. It keeps building up the environmental traps to increase the challenge every stage, but nothing feels as impactful as the first few areas as a whole. This might sound like a complaint, but it really isn't, as there are enough tiny flourishes and new enemies peppered throughout each new arena, keeping things fresh until the very end. All of the bosses are cleverly designed and pose just the right amount of challenge. Some require patience to eliminate with small puzzle elements to suss out, while others aggressively attack and require quick reflexes. Each and every one of these big bads is memorable in their own way and keep the game exciting. The control scheme in Granada is pretty unique for a game on the 16-bit Sega hardware. I'd actually say that it is the biggest hurdle to overcome. Not because they are poorly implemented, but rather due to them being so unusual. Wolf Team didn't reinvent the wheel here when it comes to ship maneuverability, as many arcade games had adopted similar control mechanics in the past, but here, on the Sega Genesis 3-button controller, things can get a bit hairy. Alright, so one button fires a normal shot, another a much more powerful missile. Pretty standard stuff there, but where it gets interesting is with the third button, which locks the player's direction in place. You're still able to move around in all 8 directions, but this pseudo-strafe aiming lock makes it possible to eliminate enemies unscathed. It's absolutely necessary to master holding down this button, and releasing it as the game dumps swarms of projectiles at the player at times. I've found that holding the controller normally with my left hand to move around while using the fingers on my right in a style similar to an arcade stick is the optimal way to play Granada. Power-ups come in a variety of different forms and are stage-specific.
Destructo drone cubes, whatever these things are. Starship Enterprise.
The music, composed by Masaaki Uno, Motoi Sakuraba, and Yasunori Shiono, is amazing and makes good use of Sega's Yamaha sound hardware. Each track is memorable and unique, with great audio fidelity and memorable harmonies. The second stage theme is my personal favorite, though it does share a striking resemblance to the original Space Harrier's first level theme. You hear it too, don't you? So, that's Granada, one of my favorite games for the Sega Genesis. It's fast, fun, and well worth learning how to play and master. It's a truly unique shooter on a console that can handle the speed without slowdown. It's fairly short once you've mapped out your path in each stage and figured out the bosses, but it's a perfect length for a frenetic shooter with this much going on. I can't believe I'm resorting to this, but if you dug this or any of our videos, subscribe, leave a comment, and click on a thumb at the bottom. Next time on Pearlfeed 101, another type of Granada for a different console.